A missing mother and a family in turmoil.
We just drove all over and come up with nothing.
Did you think that Beth was in danger?
My gut told me there was something definitely wrong.
What was Beth like as a mom?
Beth was a great mom. She was a great person. Beth would never leave her kids. She was so devoted to her kids. I think it was pretty clear to the family that something bad had happened.
He had not seen Beth, had not been with Beth. He didn't know where she was. There's just a whole lot of red flags going on with this guy.
Yeah, I didn't take to him at all.
What was it about him you didn't like?
Just the way he talked and saying stuff about Beth.
We uncovered some things that were very concerning.
Those stains were analyzed by a crime lab and found that those stains came back to Beth Kutz.
And that was the moment we absolutely knew that we needed to find Beth Kutz's body.
Beth told me that she ain't gonna grow old to see the kids.
Hi, I'm Nancy O'Dell. Today's crime expose takes us to Poynette, Wisconsin, just 45 minutes north of Madison. The small town was rocked to its core when a loving mother of two suddenly disappeared. As investigators tried to figure out what happened to her, secrets were revealed and neighbors began questioning just how well they really knew each other. July 27th had started like every other day for 30-year-old Beth Kutz. She went to work at her manufacturing job and left around 3:15 p.m. But this day was different.
What she was supposed to do once she left work was go pick up the two kids and then come home to her mother's place.
But hours passed and Beth never showed up at either location. It was completely out of character. Beth was responsible and her life revolved around her two young children. What was Beth like as a mom?
Beth was a great mom. She was a great person. Beth would never leave her kids. She was so devoted to her kids. When she didn't show up to get those kids that afternoon, I think it was pretty clear to the family that something bad had happened.
My gut told me there was something definitely wrong, so we started driving around looking for her.
As they approached Beth's workplace, they ran into her coworker, Greg. When they told him she was missing, he seemed worried and said he would join the search.
They kind of, gave it the, hometown effort, looked around, tried to contact her, contacted some other mutual friends or folks like that she maybe was acquainted with.
We just drove all over and come up with nothing.
They even contacted local hospitals, but no one had any reports of her. After hours of searching, Greg saw an opportunity to get help.
Greg Stahl actually pulled up to a state trooper on the interstate just outside of Poynette and had reported to the state trooper that not only he but the family were out looking for Beth Kutz and gave descriptions of what she would be driving.
The trooper put out a bolo, which means be on the lookout, for Beth and the green Jeep Grand Cherokee she had borrowed from a friend. Around the same time, Beth's mom walked into the Columbia County Sheriff's Office to file an official report.
Our dispatch center sent out an alert on her, a missing person alert.
Beth's mom told police that her daughter had been going through a lot of stress and had recently separated from her husband, Dan Kutz.
About a week earlier on July 20th, she moved out of her house with Dan and she moved into her mother's house, which was on the other side of Poynette.
In a small town where everyone knew each other's business, the news came as no surprise. Beth and Dan had been married for 9 years and had their fair share of issues.
Yeah, when they got married, things were good for a while, and then they started getting a little shaky.
Dan had dreams of becoming a farmer and bought a piece of land, but he had no idea how to make money. The couple quickly went into debt, And that's when everything started to fall apart.
We knew that historically they were struggling financially. They were having their property repossessed. Matter of fact, that day on the 27th was the final date that the bank was taken over the property just south of Poynette. So there was financial problems in this family.
But that wasn't all that plagued the marriage.
There was some talk about infidelity.
The tension between the couple had boiled over, and family encouraged a cooling off period.
I thought, it was a good thing just to maybe split them up a little bit or separate a little while, and maybe things would come around.
But the timing of the separation and Beth's sudden disappearance seemed coincidental, and investigators wanted to know if Dan was somehow responsible. Police went to speak with him, but couldn't find him.
Dan wasn't around. No one knew where he was at the time.
I mean, not only was Beth Kutz missing, we couldn't find her estranged husband, Dan Kutz, either. So we were looking for both of them.
Both Beth Kutz and her estranged husband Dan were missing. No one knew what happened to either until a 911 call came into the sheriff's office around 12:30 a.m. the next morning.
Yeah, I'm coming down Highway CV and just came over the tracks at the end of the airport. Okay. And it seems to be an inebriated man, kind of staggering along the side of the road.
How about a quick description of him?
Seemed to be a white male, I would say maybe 6 feet tall.
Okay.
The man turned out to be Dan Kutz.
They asked him, what are you doing? And he said he was trying to get home.
It was clear Dan had been drinking, and a deputy drove him to his brother's home. Detectives arrived a short time later to question him about Beth. Dan was upset and said he had no idea she was missing.
He had not seen Beth, had not been with Beth. He didn't know where she was. There was no contact whatsoever.
Dan told investigators that he loved his wife and was having a hard time dealing with their recent breakup. He said he hadn't slept or eaten in 2 days. He was cooperative, and with no evidence that he had been involved in any crime, investigators left and the search for Beth continued.
Now we're within, about 12 hours of Beth missing, and all these things are happening, and they're happening pretty quickly. Beth's still not found. Her vehicle is still not anywhere to be found. We're out doing, good old-fashioned police work, and we're interviewing people, we're talking to people.
A friend of Beth's suggested that police look at a man named Daryl. He was the guy that Beth had an affair with.
This wasn't recent in close proximity to the time she went missing, but it's still a concern for ours. It's still a red flag, and we have to eliminate everybody.
According to friends, Daryl had fallen hard for Beth and was upset when she decided to end the affair.
I think Daryl wanted it to continue, and when Beth had called it off, there was information that Daryl was not happy about that.
Police went to speak with Daryl. He said he hadn't seen Beth in a while and was in a new relationship. He claimed that the day Beth went missing, he was with his new girlfriend and her family.
He wasn't even in the area, had an alibi that was accounted for, his presence accounted for, not anywhere even in Columbia County during this time.
But Daryl wasn't the only one Beth had an affair with. Investigators were told that she had recently started seeing someone else, and they soon discovered that Beth's new love had some secrets of his own. The new man in Beth's life was her coworker, Greg Stahl.
Greg is one of 2 people who reported Beth missing on that day.
Greg told police that he was her boyfriend and that they had been in a relationship for a few months. It was news to her brother.
I didn't know it until the day she came up missing, that she was seeing this guy, and I didn't take to him at all.
What was it about him you didn't like?
Just the way he talked and saying stuff about Beth and that they've been together for a while.
Police said Beth's brother believed that something seemed off about Greg.
We started looking into Greg, and we uncovered some things that were very concerning.
We learned over time that he had some type of law enforcement job in another state prior to coming to Wisconsin.
Detectives learned that Greg had moved to the area from Arizona after being fired from his job at a local sheriff's office.
He had utilized law enforcement records to inappropriately. There's just a whole lot of red flags going on with this guy.
Detectives now wondered if Greg had made their relationship into more than it actually was. Had she disappeared after rejecting him? Investigators weren't sure, but it did seem convenient that Greg was the first person that Beth's family ran into while searching for her. Greg denied being involved and told police he worked all day and had just left when he saw them.
He had a strong alibi as he was at work, and not only many of his coworkers confirmed that, but he confirmed that, the management confirmed that.
With Greg cleared, the investigation was in danger of stalling until police got a call that the Jeep Beth had been driving was discovered in the parking lot of a hospital in Madison.
We learned that the Jeep was completely wiped down. Why would someone do that unless they're trying to cover up some type of evidence?
Despite the elaborate cleanup attempt, the crime lab discovered blood stains in the cargo area.
Those stains were analyzed by crime lab folks and found that those stains came back to Beth Kutz.
Beth's blood in the Jeep confirmed to investigators what they had feared all along.
She was killed and her body was placed in the cargo area.
But who was responsible? Even though the Jeep had been wiped clean, the crime lab discovered one single fingerprint on the outside door handle. It was a match to Beth's husband, Dan Kutz.
And that was the moment we absolutely knew that we needed to find Beth Kutz's body somewhere, that he had killed her.
Suddenly, everything from the first hours of the investigation started to make sense.
Well, this is why he's walking on the road. He was with her. He was in that vehicle. He parked that vehicle in the hospital ramp, and he started walking back towards family, and that's when he was found by the Dane County Sheriff's Office.
Dan Kutz was now the prime suspect in Beth's murder. Investigators broke the news to her family. They were in shock. No one could believe Dan was capable of murder. But Beth's brother told detectives that she had mentioned some odd behavior by Dan in the weeks leading up to her disappearance.
He was following her around a lot to work, from work. He was stalking her more or less, even when she was, when she moved in with my mom, he'd hang around. Across the road there was an open field with tall grass, and he'd park there and watch.
Beth had told her mom that she was worried how Dan would react when she moved out. She said she was calling the police to come with her to get her belongings. Investigators found the recording of that call.
What about if I did this and I kept the peace, if you went over there with me, kept the peace, I got my clothes and stuff, and tomorrow I went up and got a restraining order on him because he's threatened me and stuff, and I'm worried about the kids, I'm worried about myself.
Hearing Beth tell dispatch that Kutz had threatened her and she was worried for her safety was the tipping point for detectives.
We had enough. We had it, even though we didn't have the body. And at the time, there wasn't a case in Wisconsin that had a homicide conviction without a body. But we had enough. We knew that Dan had done it. It was pretty clear. Everybody knew that he had done it, and the arrest needed to be made.
Dan Kutz was arrested and taken into police custody. When detectives confronted him with the evidence, his story suddenly changed. And what was his new version of events?
He was with Beth, that he got into her vehicle, that they drove around, that they went to a couple different locations, that they were romantic together, that they were trying to rekindle the relationship, and that all was good. And eventually she dropped him off at a gas station in Madison, and as he came back out of that gas station, she was gone. And so he just started walking down the road.
The story was a clear attempt to try and explain away the evidence, but Dan Kutz wouldn't have an excuse for what investigators were about to discover. When Dan Kutz was taken into custody, investigators went through their usual process of collecting personal items.
They removed his clothing, his jewelry, and it was noticed suspicious staining, suspected blood on the backside of his watch band.
The state crime lab analyzed the stain and concluded it was in fact blood, and it didn't belong to him.
That was Beth Kutz's blood on the inside of Dan Kutz's watch band.
It was the evidence prosecutors needed when they went to trial 6 months later. Dan Kutz was found guilty of first-degree intentional homicide. Beth's brother still has a hard time understanding what happened.
You know, Beth told me after she moved out, that I ain't gonna grow old to see the kids or something is what Dan told her. And she asked me, and I said, I think he's blowing steam, and I don't think he's that type of guy. Well, boy, I was wrong.
And he will never forgive the man he once called brother.
He took my sister, but more important, he screwed up the kids, his kids. They don't have a mom. They don't have a dad. He really, nobody's life is worth taking for stupid stuff.
Dan Kutz was sentenced to life in prison. And even though he no longer denies killing Beth, he still refuses to tell anyone where he put her body. And now it is time for today's Safety Spotlight. While no relationship is without conflict, sometimes there are warning signs that tensions may be escalating towards violence. Stalking, for example, is a major red flag that a relationship could be headed into dangerous territory. There are many different forms of stalking, and you should make yourself aware of them. The most common are rejected stalkers, those who refuse to accept the end of a relationship. Another type of stalker is someone seeking revenge for a perceived wrong. And finally, there is the stalker who desires an intimate relationship so close that it becomes unhealthy. If you suspect you are being stalked, stay alert for warning signs and be aware of your surroundings at all times. And for additional protection, consider carrying a personal safety device or taking self-defense classes. And if you fear you're being stalked, contact law enforcement or call Victim Connect at 1-855-4VICTIM. I'm Nancy O'Dell. For all of us here at Crime Expose, please join us next time and stay safe.